Hello everyone. When you see in front of you a very bizarre ECG like this one, you have to think of the possibility of the pulse tapping artifact. What do we mean by pulse tapping artifact? This happens when one of the limb electrodes is put on an artery, especially if one of these limb electrodes is put on a dialysis fistula. When you suspect that there is pulse tapping artifact, the next step is looked at leads 1, 2, and 3. See which one of these limb leads 1, 2, and 3, which one of them does not look bizarre. When we look at the ECG in front of us, you will see that lead 1 here does not look bizarre. We know that lead 1 is made by the right arm and left arm electrodes. And we know that lead 2 is made by the right arm and left leg electrodes. And lead 3 is made by the left arm and left leg electrodes. Now, when we looked at the ECG in front of us, we have seen that lead 1 is the one that looks normal. So we can say that the two things that make the lead 1 have no problem. I mean by that, the right arm electrode and the left arm electrode, they have no problem because lead 1 does not look bizarre. So the two electrodes making lead 1 have no problem. And so we can say that the electrode that is causing the problem is the electrode that is put on the left leg. This electrode must have been put on an artery. So when the electrode of the left leg is put on an artery, how many leads will be affected by this problem on the ECG paper? In fact, this will affect 11 leads of the 12 ECG leads, because as we know, the augmented leads AVR, AVL, AVF, they depend on Wilson's central terminal, and this is considered the average of leads 1, 2, and 3. So the augmented leads will be affected by the problem that is present in the left leg electrode. What about the precordial leads? The precordial leads will also be affected because they use the limb leads for their grounding. So the precordial leads will also be affected, and that is why we will find that 11 leads of the 12 lead ECG will be affected by a problem in just one limb electrode. Because as we said, all the precordial leads will be affected, the augmented leads will be affected, and 2 of the standard limb leads will be affected. So the problem will be present in 11 leads of the 12 leads of the ECG. And the only lead that will look normal is lead 1, because this is the only lead that is not affected by the left leg electrode. So the message or the lesson we want to learn from this ECG, that when you find the ECG in front of you looks very bizarre in almost all the leads, you have to think of the possibility that there might be something wrong in the recording of your ECG, something called pulse tapping artifact. You have to think of this possibility first before calling the cardiology, thinking of ischemia, thinking that this is ST depressions, ST elevations. Think first that there might be something wrong in the process of recording the ECG. Think of the possibility of the pulse tapping artifact first and exclude it. When you suspect that there is a problem in one of the limb electrodes, change the position of this electrode and repeat the ECG. You might find that all these bizarre shapes and abnormalities in the ECG have gone away after repeating the ECG and changing the position of the electrode.